Mixtures have properties which vary based on the proportion of components within that mixture. Describe an example of this and explain its importance in one application. So mixtures have properties which vary based on the proportion of components within that mixture. Describe an example of this. Okay, so basically the properties of a mixture can change depending on how much of a particular substance you have in it. Now describe one example and then how it's important. Okay, so mixtures of ethanol, which is alcohol, the drinking alcohol, and water can change flammability and solubility in hydrocarbons depending on the relative concentration of ethanol and water present. Okay, so when you mix alcohol and water, obviously you get different flammability. But if you go, maybe your dad likes to have a beer every now and then, try to light that beer on fire, probably not going to happen, okay? Because the alcohol content is very low. Now, alternatively, if whiskey, maybe your parents drink, then you try to light that on fire, it might actually catch because the alcohol content of whiskey is much higher than beer. So you can see straight away that the proportion of alcohol in the mixture alters the flammability. Okay. Now, from a more technical point of view, if you were to make ethanol, like in an E10, those kind of fuels, if you have too much water, it becomes difficult to dissolve the ethanol water mixture in another hydrocarbon. So let's take petrol. If you try to dissolve too much an ethanol water mixture that has too much water in petrol, you may not get it to dissolve because there's just too much water. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about here. Now for fuel mixtures, if there is too much water in the ethanol, 1% or more, the ethanol cannot dissolve in the other fuel and creates issues for the fuel line of the car engine. So what you get is you get two separate layers, one of fuel and one of water, and then you have a problem because the water gets stuck in your fuel line and then it causes problems. So that's why the ethanol that you put in your fuel mixture has to be extremely high purity, and you have to use some very, very advanced technologies to get the ethanol out. Okay. So yeah, that's one example of where a mixture's properties can vary, and one application of where that's actually very important for fuel in cars. Okay.